Last time on the Skip and Josh podcast.
You said to me something like, I'm watching a new show. And then I was like, well, what is it? And then you're like, I can't tell you.
No, I'll tell you during this show now.
So I feel that while this podcast has been a great way for us to make sure we connect on a weekly basis or even more, talk about all the stuff we love, but I was like, we couldn't have a proper conversation when we were in person.
No, we can't.
The Skip and Josh podcast is on now.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Did you get new headphones?
They're like new old. You want to know what happened to my headphones?
Sure.
It's a story. That's how we're starting.
Sure.
Haven't talked to you for a while. You were in Montreal this weekend. Didn't even see each other other than for about 6 seconds. But we'll talk about my headphones. I usually like to use my Apple earbuds.
I know.
Like when we're doing this. Now my daughter lost her Apple earbuds. And I said, you know what? We'll go get a new pair. Those were kind of old. They were breaking already. Like, they're ancient. We'll just get new ones. Then it was her birthday. Lucky her, one of her friends bought her some Apple earbuds for her birthday.
That's great.
So I didn't have to go out and buy them. 3 weeks later, she lost those.
Oh, God.
So she borrowed mine. And
you haven't seen them since.
Yeah, I haven't seen them since. But I use these. Like they do the job.
Okay.
So what's up?
I got this new pop filter.
Yeah, where did you get that from?
You gave it to me. So the sound on this show that's already impeccable. Like, the best thing about this show is the sound quality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now going to actually be better.
Right. So we're not going to hear any more pops, any big pops.
Right.
I don't want to say the P sound too much because then there will be pops anyways. So
Pops, that's what your son calls you.
Yeah, he does.
So what are we talking about first?
I don't know. You told me you had a list.
I have a list.
I came, look at my list.
You're showing me a blank page. Okay.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yet you were dying to record today.
Well, we were on a major roll for a while there, like in the month of like March mostly, because we were like doing like more than one episode per week. We were on fire.
We were. By the way, that reminds me, have our media credentials for the Duke game arrived yet?
They have not arrived, but you don't go on Facebook.
No, I don't.
But Derek, who you called out last time,
yes,
commented on our Facebook page saying, "Great episode, guys. I'm on the case for the credentials."
Awesome. I love it. The wheels are in motion.
Yeah, Derek is the one that commented a while back saying we're so prolific. We were doing so many episodes. Like we were churning them out.
He was running out of clothes to iron.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah. So then it's been like more than a week, because I think we recorded like last time on a Saturday and now it's Monday. So I feel like a lot of time's gone by, you know? So, and it was really weird because you were here in town for Mother's Day, but we really didn't even see each other.
No, we didn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have things to talk about. Like, I can't stop watching the NHL and the NBA playoffs. I'm like totally, like really, really into both of those series.
We're going to get to that in a minute.
Oh.
Or
okay.
Maybe should we start with that?
No, what do you want to start with? Go.
Major League Baseball.
I just have these two baseball stories I want to talk about.
Okay, good. Baseball. Let's start with baseball. I haven't been watching much, but I'm following it. I know, like, what's going on,
So these are very short stories. One is on May 10th, the Philadelphia Phillies, and I'd like to get Mark's take on this, but the Philadelphia Phillies sent down left-handed pitcher Zach Curtis.
Okay.
Why am I telling you this?
Why are you telling me this?
I've never heard of Zach Curtis. I don't know if he's a good pitcher or a bad pitcher. I just know that he's right now in AAA.
Okay.
I'm mentioning this because after they sent him down, their major league roster consists of a total of 0 left-handed pitchers.
Whoa. That's pretty rare, actually.
I remember think it's extremely rare.
I remember back in the day, in the 90s with the Expos, they didn't have any lefties at one point. And they used to just carry guys around, and we would wonder, why is this guy on the team? We need a lefty, They had Jeff Facero used to be like the one lefty on the whole staff for many, many years,
Now, I mean, this is kind of a good thing because, I don't really buy into the theory of you have to bring in a lefty if a left-handed batter is up. And
I know
all
you
this.
don't. Yeah, I know you don't.
So now the manager doesn't have to worry about it because he
Well,
doesn't have any lefties in the bullpen.
Their manager took a lot of criticism at the beginning of the year for basically kind of marching to his own drum, which I guess he's going to continue to do with no lefties, but they are actually winning a lot of games. The Phillies are doing very well.
They are.
Yeah.
They had a rough start and he got a lot of heat, but they're doing okay now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have the Mets in their division, which helps. Because,
although the Mets were really hot at the start of the season.
But now they've come back to normal, just as expected. So did you see this week that they batted out of turn in the first inning?
I saw that.
That's just the best.
That happens more than you think it does.
Actually, I'm sure you listened on Tony Kornheiser's show. He had Tim Kirkjian on. And
yeah,
Tony
actually, yes, I did. But I also found out before that. Tony had no clue. Tony's clueless about so many things.
But Tony was asking him, like, how could it possibly happen in the first inning? And Tim is the one that clarified it, saying the first inning is when it does happen, because they don't forget the batting order. They bat out of turn because, they submit one lineup card to the umpire and they post a different one in the dugout.
Right, exactly.
It's actually surprising that it doesn't happen more. Like when I hear that, I was like, it could happen at any time,
Right.
Yeah.
So the other baseball story I wanted to talk about, there's a pitcher on the Pittsburgh Pirates whose name is Jameson Taillon.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't know if you heard this. I'll read the story to you because it's quite short. He suffered a lacerated middle finger during his last start, and he's willing to try any kind of unorthodox treatment to get back on the field.
Okay.
So friends and fans have reportedly suggested using urine to treat the finger.
Well, didn't Moises Alou once do that?
I'm not sure, but this was his quote. He said, "If it helps, I'll put a sign-up sheet and everyone can come and pee." I don't care. I just want it to go away.
That's good. I don't think that's going to help.
He also said, if it helps, I would do it. I'm not scared, man. I just need to be out on the field. I'm open to anything.
So he has a cut on his finger and he's going to pee on it.
Well, I mean, whatever gets the job done, I guess.
I don't think that's going to work.
I mean, what about putting like a bomb or something?
You could put a bomb on it.
Who told you to put the bomb on? I didn't tell you to put the bomb on. Why'd you put the bomb on? You haven't even been to see the doctor. If you're going to put a bomb on, let a doctor put a bomb on.
You could. You could. So have you been watching? I'm going to change the subject now away from baseball.
The National Hockey League.
So how are you feeling about the NHL playoffs? We didn't have time because we couldn't record to do like our playoff round 3 preview. I went 3 for 4 in the second round.
Well, this is what I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
I think I went 2 for 4 only.
Why? Who did you have?
I had Vegas, I had Nashville.
Oh, yes.
I had Pittsburgh, and I had Tampa.
Right. I mean, I had 3 for 4. I mean, really.
Not only were you 3 for 4, but when you said that Winnipeg was going to win, you even said why, and you were right.
Exactly. But I've been telling you since the beginning of the playoffs that Pekka Rinne is no good.
Well, he is a Vezina Trophy nominee, so he's a good
goalie. He's a perfectly good goalie. But like what I told you is he's so inconsistent that sometimes the team in front of him doesn't know what to make out of him. It's like those 2 goals that he gave up in Game 7. I mean, that's brutal. You can't expect your team to come back after that.
No,
you just can't.
Although they did.
They almost did, but I mean, in such a hard-fought series where the teams are so even, obviously it's Game 7, so the teams are pretty equally matched. So you need any edge you can get. And not only did they not get an edge, they got like a sabotage. Like they got 2 goals against them that just are heartbreaking if you're the skaters on the ice. Like you look at your goalie and say, what the hell are we supposed to do here? We can't give up any shots now. That they weren't even shots that scored.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
yeah,
you're right. He played awful. He cost them the game. He cost them the series. On the other hand, Nashville only scored 1 goal that game. So in other words, he would have had to pitch a shutout in order to win.
And he also played great in Game 6 to get them there. So, you know, like it's like, I'm sure you saw the interview with PK Subban after the game where he was basically told everybody to shut up about criticizing their goalie. You know, he's like, he's part of our team and we're going to support him and enough already, you know?
I mean,
he knows he played.
What's he going to say? You know, I'm tired of these post-game interviews in all sports.
Yeah. What is he going to say, really? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. What is he supposed to say? They support their team. They come out there. They throw out a million cliches, and that's about it, right? But how are you feeling about like the conference finals now? Like, I mean, we didn't even get a chance to tee up like Washington against Tampa, and full disclosure, I would have picked Tampa.
I would have picked Tampa also. I'm stunned at what's going on. The Capitals have a 2-0 series lead on the road yet. I'm stunned.
Yeah, I think the Capitals are suffering this year from like bad marketing.
I don't know what that means.
I'm gonna explain it to you. It's like you listen to like different podcasts, or you read articles, or you listen to talk radio, whatever. And we even said it. We fed into it, and not only did we feed into it, we repeated it basically by saying the Capitals are a bunch of chokers. They're not going to come through. They're never going to do it. They're not going to be Columbus. They're not going to, they're not going to be Pittsburgh. It's impossible that they'll beat Pittsburgh. Like we fed into it, and we got brainwashed by it too. And like, they beat them. They have risen to the occasion, and I think it's just like we're so conditioned to assuming the Caps are going to lose that like we just kind of dismiss them, and it's not fair because they're a perfectly good team.
Well, we're conditioned because they always lose. It's
yes,
not
yes,
like,
yeah.
That's why we're conditioned.
But like Kelly Clarkson says,
what does she say?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So maybe all their defeats have like, made them stronger now. Or maybe it's made them like, I shouldn't say it made them stronger, but maybe it's like changed their mentality or brought them together as a team, like in terms of like shutting out the noise. And you always hear coaches talk about like, oh yeah, we're gonna use the siege mentality in the locker room, us against them, it's the whole world against us, to get like the team working together. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. Certainly it's worked because they just dismantled Tampa yesterday. Like that game wasn't even close, right?
Here's my issue with the playoffs. Mm-hmm. When your favorite team's out, you have to find a team to root for.
Yeah, well, for me, that's been Winnipeg. I really fell in love with them.
You see, and you know that I love Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, yeah, okay.
So I'm rooting for Vegas, but I'm a little torn because I wouldn't mind seeing a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup. It hasn't happened in I don't know how many years.
1993.
Right. Was it 96 or 93?
No, 93. The Habs. That's the last one.
So I'm torn, right? Because I like Vegas. And I like Winnipeg, but I don't really like Winnipeg.
But you like Vegas because you just want to stick it to everybody.
Exactly. All 30 general managers.
Yeah. Well, that's...
I know I've said this before, but I'm going to repeat myself. No joke. Mm-hmm. There are probably 15 teams in the NHL who would be better off just getting rid of all their players, folding their team, and then redrafting in an expansion draft.
With the same rules that Vegas had. Yeah.
Yes.
The Habs might be one of them.
Like... I wouldn't do it if I was the Oilers because Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it if I was the Leafs.
Yeah, no, I get you.
I probably wouldn't even do it if I was Chicago or Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But I mean...
all those teams that are like not playoff teams or on the bubble, wouldn't they just want to start over?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Anyway, so I'm torn now because like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing a Canadian team because that would be sticking it to Gary Bettman, who I can't stand.
But it's not really Gary Bettman, really, is it?
He can't stand the Canadian teams.
I know, but
he would hate
yeah. Sorry. Winnipeg winning would be sticking to Gary Bettman. Yes, that's
exactly,
right.
And then, but I kind of want Vegas to do it. And the thing is, Vegas has to do it this year because even if they do it next year, it's not the same because next year they're not an expansion team anymore.
No, next year all the reporters won't be able to say they're the first expansion team to win the Stanley Cup in their first year.
So this is why I think I'm pulling for Vegas more than Winnipeg.
But what about Washington? Don't you think Ovechkin winning is such a great story?
Well, you know what? Now that you mention it, I wouldn't mind seeing Ovechkin do something good because I kind of feel bad for the guy. He's never won an Olympic gold medal. He's never won, any of those best on best championships. And he's never won a Stanley Cup.
Never mind, he never got to the second round.
He's actually an amazing player.
He's fantastic. He's incredible.
And you might even say,
he's a freak of nature, the guy.
like, you could argue that he's better than Sidney Crosby.
They're different types of players, honestly. But they're obviously Ovechkin's fantastic. You don't score 50 goals in this day and age. Like, how hard it is to score 40, 50 goals now? It's insane.
They
right?
came into the league the same day, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And over the course of their careers, Ovechkin has been much healthier than Crosby. He's played more games.
He has, because Crosby has sat out practically a whole year with a concussion.
Right, and then...
And missed parts of others.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think if you just looked at their stats, I don't have them in front of me, but Ovechkin's are better, I think.
Crosby has 1,116 points in 864 games. And Ovechkin has 1,122 points, which is almost the same thing, but in 1,003 games. So he's played more games, but they almost have the same amount of career points. The difference is Ovechkin has almost 200 goals more, where Crosby has all those assists, I mean, they're different types of players. Ovechkin is a prototypical power forward, like he's got a crazy shot, he's physically a tank,
Mm-hmm.
And Crosby to me is like the complete player, he's a playmaker, he's a scorer, he can do it all on the ice, So
Right, so what Ovechkin's missing, he's missing the titles.
He's missing the titles for sure, and maybe he's going to get them. Now, at the beginning of the playoffs, I told you that my son picked heavy in Washington Capitals in his playoff pool, the kind of pool where you need players to continue on. Right now, he's winning by so much in that pool.
Who is he playing against?
It's all his friends.
Okay.
He also has Fleury. They have to pick goalies, and he has Fleury. So that's helped. But like he told me he's winning by so much, as long as Washington makes it to the finals, he's going to win. And, I mean, good on him, Look, if it's Washington and Winnipeg in the final, I'd probably cheer for Washington.
I'm not sure, but I'm still hoping for Vegas.
Okay, perfect.
Since we're talking about hockey,
Yeah.
let's talk about my favorite subject, Brad Marchand.
Oh, my Lord.
Or is it Brad Marchand?
Do you really want to talk about him?
I have to talk about him for a minute because, I can't stand him, obviously.
I know, but the licking's finished.
I know, but there's something that happened after he got eliminated that's bothering me.
What did he do?
Well, you probably heard this because the Montreal Canadiens tweeted out this tweet.
I saw that, but that's the Canadians being... Yeah.
The day after the Bruins got eliminated, the Canadiens tweeted out a tweet saying, by the way, it's not healthy to lick golf balls. They didn't mention Brad Marchand's name, but obviously it was directed at him.
Yeah.
And then he actually came back with an intelligent tweet. I don't know if you saw his response.
I saw. He said, that's big talk for a team that was eliminated since October.
Right. He's 100% right. The Canadiens should be shutting their mouth. They were terrible this year. Who are they to talk? Whoever runs the Twitter account for the Montreal Canadiens should be fired.
It's not should be fired, but like these fun Twitter accounts from different teams, like the Vegas Golden Knights are one of them.
They're great.
They're great, right? They tweet all year long with crazy stuff and funny stuff. And I forget there's one team in the NBA also that has a Twitter account like that. I forget who. And the Canadiens, it's the same. The Canadiens just shouldn't be doing that. It's like they shouldn't be doing that. They're the Montreal Canadiens. Their Twitter account should just be straight legit stuff. It's the same thing like when I go to a game at the Bell Center. I went on a Saturday night, a game at the Bell Center. They've got like DJ so-and-so is appearing there tonight, playing music during in-between periods. And there's all this promos on a Saturday night. I'm like, why do the Montreal Canadiens need to do that? They shouldn't need to do that.
Just play the game.
People should go to the games because they want to watch hockey, not because they want to have all the other circus that surrounds it,
Right.
like that the Carolinas and the Vegases and all those teams need to do to get fans into the door, Are you watching? Go ahead.
I was going to say, are we going to talk about the NBA?
The National Basketball Association.
Yeah, are you watching NBA?
I mean, I haven't seen any of this round because it just started.
Well, there's only been one game. Yeah.
Well, there's a game going on
There's
now.
a game going on now. Yeah.
But I want to point something out. On our last episode, you can play it back.
Mm-hmm.
You were so confident that the Celtics were going to lose to the Cavaliers. And I said, don't count the Celtics out.
I know. You're right.
And you know how I always say in a 7-game series that it only really game 3 matters.
Yeah.
I mean, game 3 is the first game that matters, but I'm adjusting that for this Celtics Cavaliers series.
Game
the
2.
The next game is huge.
Huge. Because first of all, next game, LeBron is going to be like angry LeBron.
And
Right?
he's going to play every minute. He's not going to be on the bench at all.
You know, so if he comes out and plays like the game of his life, or maybe tries too hard, which you don't really see LeBron doing that, you know, because LeBron is not the type of player that is gonna like Russell Westbrook. He was so determined to beat the Jazz in the series, right? He's like, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna do everything to make my team win. And you know how you do that? By taking 35 shots. And you know what happens when you take 35 shots? You lose. That's what happens when you take 35 shots, right? Like that's Russell Westbrook has the wrong philosophy, or you know, the skill set or the basketball mentality to know how to get his team over the hump, whereas LeBron is not going to come out and take a million shots. He's just going to do everything, every little thing, every big thing, everything to make his team win. And like you said, it's going to be huge, right? Because if the Celtics go up 2-0 and they again hold LeBron, or what if LeBron goes off and scores 45 points and they still win? Right?
No, I mean the next game is going to determine the rest of the series.
Yeah,
if
I think
the
so.
Cavs win, it's going to be one of those series like the Indiana series. It's going to go
Only
back
home
and
teams.
forth.
Yeah.
It's going to go back and forth. It's going to go 7 games.
Because right now that Boston Garden, or whatever they call it, the TD Garden, it's
Yeah.
really rocking. There's a home court advantage there.
But at least now the visiting team doesn't have the heat on in the locker room in the middle of the summer like they
Yeah.
used to in the Larry Bird days.
There's one game where, you know that heat wave game? Do you
Yeah.
know this game? They said it was so hot in the Garden, and the Lakers complained that like the Lakers locker room was extra hot. Like
It wasn't just a complaint. Like the GM of the Celtics would have the building people turn on the heat in the Lakers locker room.
that's only in Boston could stuff like this happen, right?
Yeah,
You
for
only
sure.
hear about it's the leprechauns.
So,
So I'm a little bit interested in the West. A
but
little
hold
bit.
on. I'm just if the Celtics win game 2, the series is basically over.
Well, I mean, I don't know about over. It's very, very hard. It's very, very hard to look. I'm a huge Celtics fan. Why am I defending the Cavs? You know,
You
But
know if the Celtics win game 2, the series is over.
it's very, very hard to count LeBron out. But that's what I'm saying. If they can overcome, because you know that game 2, it's gonna be like ultimate LeBron. You know, it's like he's a transformer. You know the movie Transformers? He's
Yeah, yeah.
transforming into like he's gotta be his peak. He's gonna be his peak, you know? And if they can somehow still beat LeBron at his peak, then where do the Cavs go in game 3? They're like, well, LeBron just did everything he could and we still couldn't do it, you know?
Right.
But the Celtics are doing it with like smoke and mirrors, no?
No, they're doing it because of Brad Stevens.
They are, yes. But there's some players on the Celtics that are like Al Horford. You know, yeah, he was an all-star, and whenever you talk about the best players in the league, you never talk about Al Horford. But when you talk about all-stars, you're like, yeah, he's pretty good, you know, like, but you know how good this guy is? Like, he could do everything. He hits threes. He has all kinds of post moves. He's incredible. His post defense is unbelievable. Like, he just does everything. And like, when you watch the Celtics, when you watch them, you see why they win. Because they play as a unit. They're a 5-man unit on the court. And I'm not talking about offense. I'm talking about on defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, they're just so... They know exactly where... There's a level of trust between the teammates that they know where their teammate's going to be. And they know, if I come over and I double-team LeBron right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving Kyle Korver open. That should be normally a no-no, right? But... like, Jaylen Brown comes over and he double teams LeBron super hard. He sells out on that double team. Korver's wide open. But in the back of Jaylen Brown's mind, he knows, hey, you know what? Marcus Morris or Tatum, he's going to swing over and pick up Korver. Like, it's like there's so much trust in their defensive assignments. It's unbelievable to watch. It's really quite fantastic. And Jason Tatum is so good. It's unbelievable how good this guy is. He hits all kinds of shots. He's not scared about taking any shots.
Speaking of former Duke players,
Yeah.
can we just talk a little bit about Rodney Hood?
Rodney Hood.
Yes. So
well, there's
I actually
conflicting
forgot.
stories. There's
What?
conflicting stories about Rodney Hood. I know what you're going to say.
Well, I actually forgot that he went to Duke, but that's another story. That's not what I wanted to mention.
yeah, okay, continue.
So I heard that it was in the previous round.
Yeah,
He's sitting on the bench and the coach tells him to go in the game and he says, I can't go in the game.
he refused to go in. They basically benched him and they didn't use him. And then when they put him in garbage time in the last like minute, when they were up or down by however many points, he's like, no, I'm not going in.
How does someone say, no, I'm not going in? I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, when you say no, I'm not going in, then you don't go in the next game either. Now that was the end of Rodney Hood.
No, but I mean, if you have a job and you're getting paid and your boss tells you to do something and you don't do it,
Yeah.
how much longer are you going to have that job?
No, probably not very long. But the beauty of his job is the NBA, and he's pretty good. So even if he goes to the worst team and he signs the worst possible contract, he's still going to be making $1 million.
But is it true? I heard that he has some kind of medical condition
So
that doesn't allow him to, like, he needs to know well in advance before you tell him to
don't
do
know.
something.
I don't
Am I
know.
making this up or?
You're not making it up, but the first reports came out that said he refused to go in, and it made it sound like, screw you, I'm not going in.
Right.
And then reports came out after saying there's more to the story, but we didn't really know exactly what it is. But, you know, all the guys that they got in that trade at the deadline when they redid their team, most of those guys don't play. Only George Hill plays, right? But Larry Nance, Rodney Hood, and Jordan Clarkson, none of them play.
Is he
like-
related to Kelly Clarkson?
No, but none of them play. 2 Kelly Clarkson references in the same podcast.
Yes.
None of them play any meaningful minutes, right? So it just goes to show that, like, everyone got all excited that the Cavs are so much improved at the trade deadline, but in the end, you know, it's still J.R. Smith and it's still Kyle Korver and it's still Kevin Love and it's still the same guys that LeBron trusts, because that's who LeBron wants out on the court. If you think Ty Lue's making these decisions, so you're sadly mistaken.
Anyhow, I interrupted you. You wanted to talk about the Houston Golden State series.
No, I just wanted to know, like, are you gonna watch? I'm not invested emotionally or fan wise at all in that series. I really couldn't care less who wins. You know,
I don't have a favorite team. I don't have a rooting interest. I'm not in any pool. However, this round, both series
yeah.
are going to be better than the finals, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly, most people will tell you that Golden State Houston is the de facto finals, right? Like,
And
we've seen-
Cleveland Boston should be a good series too.
It'll be great, Cleveland Boston, just because of the drama.
So,
I mean-
so you should watch these series because the finals are not going to be that good, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, if you want star power, the Houston Warriors series certainly has it, because, you know, James Harden and Durant, Steph Curry, like, that's the star power, you know? So I'm going to catch it after we finish recording here. I'm going to go watch the end of the game and see what's going on.
Yeah. I'm done with my list, by the way.
You're done with your list?
Yeah. Actually, I have one other little thing.
TV?
Are you still watching the Goldbergs?
No.
Okay.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it when I'm on an airplane. Next time
Okay.
I'm on an airplane.
The reason I mention is because there was an episode where Barry, Adam's older brother,
Mm-hmm.
actually Adam wins a contest on the radio to throw out the first pitch at a Phillies game.
Oh my god.
But
Okay.
Barry wants to do it
Okay, yeah, because
because
Barry's
Adam
the
doesn't
sports
even care
fan.
about sports.
Yeah.
So Adam agrees to let Barry do it, and then Barry's like practicing and training, and like he thinks he's gonna go out there, and the Phillies are gonna give him, like, sign him to a contract after seeing him throw the pitch, because it's gonna be so fast and so hard that they're
Right.
gonna freak out.
Right.
Anyway, I won't tell you what happens, but it was a funny episode.
Oh, I want to know what. I'll have to watch it now.
I don't want
It's a great show because there's always great Philadelphia references, right?
Yeah, there
So,
are.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's it. That's all you got.
That's all I got.
I did have a what bugs me.
You're kidding me? Boy, are you bugging me, man? I'm gonna nail. Ooh, God. I'm getting bugged now. Whoa, man.
And I know we already talked about hockey, but I'll still tell you what it is. And I think you'll agree with me because it's something that's already bugged you once to a certain amount, like a different degree. Do you listen? Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts. You saw my podcast list. It's huge, right?
Yeah, mine's growing slowly.
But it's very influenced by, like, the Ringer family of shows, or ESPN, right? When they talk about hockey, I'm embarrassed for them. Honestly. Bill Simmons tried to have a segment about hockey this week. He had his hockey reporter, Katie Baker, who's very knowledgeable, and it was a great segment. I was like, wow, they actually had a decent segment about hockey because he had someone on that could talk intelligently. 2 days later, he starts talking about hockey, and I'm like, oh my God, Bill, shut up. You're like, it's embarrassing because he admits that he's just a casual fan, but like, then don't try to talk intelligently. Don't try to pretend that you actually know what you're talking about. You know, they don't even know where Winnipeg is. They don't even know anything. Like, they're talking about Winnipeg as if it's like, oh my God, Winnipeg's going to be in the final? Dude, did you look at the standings?
They have the second best record in the league.
Do you know who they have on their team? Do you see some of these players? Like, Patrick Laine and Scheifele, these guys are like superstars.
And Blake Wheeler and Peter Stastny. Sorry,
yeah, Paul Stastny. Peter Stastny. They wish they had Peter Stastny. But like, it's embarrassing how little they know about Canada, but also how little they know about hockey. And then you've said it a million times, like Tony Kornheiser cannot talk about hockey.
No.
And today it reached peak. It reached peak. Like I fast forwarded the segment. I couldn't take it. I mean, they don't know where Winnipeg is on the map. Fine. I get it. Americans don't know anything about Canadian geography. I can't hold that against them. But like, he just shouldn't talk about hockey. Tony doesn't know anything about hockey. He said 16 times today the Capitals are winning the Stanley Cup. He said it on PTI as well.
Which is why I was so glad when Steve Sands ripped him.
Oh, it was so good.
Yes.
It was so good. But like, honestly, like, it really, really bothers me that there's no American podcast out there that can talk intelligently about hockey. I actually downloaded a new podcast this week and said, you know what? Forget about all this business. I'm going to find a Canadian podcast to talk about hockey. So I downloaded this podcast called 31 Thoughts. It's a Sportsnet show.
Elliot Friedman.
Yeah, Elliot Friedman's part of it. So I'm like, why don't I listen to that? And I was so happy to listen to it. The problem is they don't do enough episodes. It's like once a week, and then with the playoffs going, you want to hear like every day or two, So
there are 31 teams in the NHL, and 24 of them are in the United States. You would think someone there would know something about hockey.
I'm sure if you start researching and you get a local podcast, guys like us, right, from Boston or from Minnesota, or anywhere
in Chicago,
like, even cities that I just said, even Washington, even
New York, the Rangers.
Yeah. Like, there's plenty of knowledgeable people. It just bothers me that like the mainstream American, I mean, ESPN doesn't cover hockey. They don't even give a rat's what about it. They don't care about it, That's Gary Bettman's fault, right? Because basically they decided, no, we don't need to have a contract with ESPN, and they parted ways. That's all I got.
Speaking of, you mentioned you fast forwarded a segment on the podcast.
On Tony?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that the other day, but not for the reason you think. And the problem was I was like half asleep and I didn't feel like reaching for the phone. So I didn't fast forward it. But they were talking about the Americans. I haven't seen any of the episodes.
No.
And they were spoiling everything.
I went past that right away because I am watching the Americans. I'm caught up. I'm current. And I hadn't watched the latest episode yet, the one that he was about to spoil. So I'm like, oh, no, quick.
Well, if you're going to do that, you need to announce spoiler alert. They don't even do that.
You do need to say spoilers, but
I don't even think Tony knows what that means.
I told you last year that the Americans was no good.
Yes, but I liked it.
This year, it started off slow, and I was disappointed because I was like, oh, again, it's like they only have 10 episodes, and for 5 episodes, nothing happens, But now it's really tense. Like, it's really tense. When I'm watching it, I'm nervous, and I'm sweating. I'm like, my heart's like, I'm really like stressed when I'm watching it. Same thing with The Handmaid's Tale season 2. We started watching. Oh God. It's really like,
it's draining.
It's very, very mentally and emotionally draining to watch that show.
It looks like you just finished playing like a 60-minute hockey game. You're exhausted right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, we just watched 2 episodes of The Handmaid's Tale, but then I came and called you.
Actually, I called you.
Yeah, whatever. All right. I'm going to close the show.
Okay.
Show close.
So before we sign off, I want to remind you that to make sure that you never miss an episode of the Skip and Josh podcast, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play Music, or the podcast app of your choice. I heard you converted, I know you did, you converted to Overcast this week.
I did last week, actually, and I'm thrilled with it.
I've been telling you for 95 episodes how good it is.
But the thing is, what's so good about it is, it's so simple.
That's exactly it.
Why would Apple, the phone, comes with a podcast app? Why would it not just be a simple app?
Apple had a perfectly good podcast app.
They
and
did,
they decided,
way back.
They decided they're going to make it all weird with library and playlists and complicated and you don't know where to navigate. I ditched it a long time ago. Overcast, it's like perfectly straightforward.
You know what else is complicated on my Apple phone?
Oh, God.
When you take a picture and you go to look at your pictures, they have like all these different categories. Like it's grouped by date or it's grouped by location where you took the picture.
I know, but you
or
could fix that.
It's like, I just want to see all the pictures I took. Why are you giving me all these different folders?
All right. That's next episode. We'll talk about Josh's phone. So we would love to hear from you via email, skipandjoshshow@gmail.com, Twitter @skipandjosh, or like and follow our Facebook page. Give us comments on Facebook. Derek, our listener from here in Montreal, is always commenting and we love it. And as always, skipandjosh.com. You'll get all the links. So Josh, this is episode 95.
Oh my goodness, I'm getting more and more nervous every time you tell me what number it is.
5 more episodes to the big 100. And we've just decided today what we're going to do for the number 100. I think
but don't tell anybody.
No. We're not going to spoil it like the Americans.
Is it going to coincide with Canada Day?
I don't know when it will be because actually just at dinner today, I was telling my wife that we're getting close to episode 100. And we think that we finally know what we're going to do. And I explained to her what we're going to do. And I don't know when it will be, but like in theory, it's in 5 weeks from now, right?
I think it's going to be before Canada.
But sometimes we do 5 episodes might be 4 weeks, right? So I guess we'll see, right?
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be great.
I like it.
All right. So I'll talk to you next time.
All right. Have a good night.
The Skip and Josh podcast is over now. Don't worry, there'll be another episode soon.